Are back at Ohana, fireworks at theme parks around the world, and we're going to be talking about FastPasses, when they'll return, and what's it going to cost you. All this on the brand new ParksCenter, coming to you live from WDWNT Celebration in Florida. Well, you know what? It is a brand new studio. We had some problems on Thursday night, but we are here tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you to our WIGS members for joining us. Thanks for everybody for sticking around. And we're going to talk tonight about a lot of stuff. We're going to start talking about the parks, and we're going to go around the hub with Disney parks and resorts. So we're going to start with Disney World. And talking with me tonight, the original ParksCenter star is Jill Diffendahl. Jill, how's it going?
Good. Hi over there. Hi over there. How's everybody doing tonight? Good to be here on our first new episode of ParksCenter. Happy to be here talking about Disney parks.
Yep, so tonight we're going to start talking about a couple things that happened this week. One of them is Noodles came back to Ohana, but also breakfast. At breakfast, you were like one of the first people to be in there for breakfast at Ohana on Friday, right?
I was. After leaving here in the studio at 7:45, or at like 1:15 a.m. after News Tonight on Thursday night, I was at Ohana bright and early at like 7:30 Friday morning to check out breakfast at the newly reopened Ohana and check out what it was like now that they're back finally after all this time. It was the first time they've been open since before COVID, and so we enjoyed the family style, all you care to eat breakfast, which family style is how Ohana had worked in the past. We checked out, we got the Ohana bread. You start off with the bread with the icing drizzle, and you've got the pineapple and the coconut. That was good. I think kind of the Ohana bread that everybody's used to. And then they bring out the skillet with the eggs, and you get ham, sausage, potatoes, the biscuits, Mickey waffles, Stitch waffles, because it's Ohana and that's a Lilo and Stitch thing. But it was okay. I think we were all a little bit underwhelmed by the breakfast, if only because I think so much of what makes Ohana great is the food is part of it, but a big part of it is the characters, Lilo and Stitch being there, and there are no characters right now. So the price point is lower, but at the same time, I think you're missing a big piece of it. And to me, it was not the best family-style breakfast I have had on property. Just last week, I had been at Cape May, and I thought their breakfast was significantly better for the exact same price. So Ohana's back. If you miss it, it's good, but don't go there looking for a stellar breakfast experience.
Well, you've been to a bunch of them, right? So you've been to Tusker House and...
I did Tusker as well. So Tusker does have the characters, so that's nice.
Which is your favorite right now?
Food-wise, I would say I really liked Cape May, but character-wise, Tusker was fantastic. We had really great character interaction at Tusker House, so if that's what you're looking for. And the food was really good. Like, honestly, of the three of them, I would put Ohana at the bottom in terms of food.
So I did dinner there and went with Jason, and Jason ordered a back scratcher. And I said, what's in a back scratcher? He said, I don't know, but you get a free back scratcher. So I ordered one. It's from Oriental Trading Company.
I know, because he gave me mine. And I was like, oh, look, it's an Oriental Trading Company back scratcher. Thank you.
Right. That's pretty fancy. I mean, Oriental Trading Company. That's awesome. Very exotic. The dinner was great. Obviously, we were celebrating the Noodles. We actually had our shirts on, the Ohana Means Noodles shirts, which you can get at carouselproducts.com. I actually saw one person. I actually looped the restaurant a couple times to see, and we saw one person wearing one in there, which was very cool. The noodles were worth the wait, though. They were very good. Everything was great for dinner. But I do think, again, Jill, you prefer the early version of Ohana dinner, right?
I mean, like the 20 years ago version. And just FYI, I asked Jason how Ohana was, and he said, well, it was better than breakfast. So you say it was fantastic. That is not the report I got in from Jason the next morning.
Man, I ate too much noodles.
I believe the words were the shrimp casserole was an embarrassment.
Now, I didn't touch the shrimp casserole. I don't like seafood, so maybe
you perhaps missed the worst part of the
maybe
meal
that's
then,
where
according to Jason.
Yeah, maybe that's where the problem happened. So turning to other news, fireworks returned, and you got to see both the Epcot Forever and Happily Ever After I think you saw Happily on the first night, right? How was that?
I did. Happily on the first night was quite an experience. We were all so excited to go. The hub was packed. I have not seen so many people crammed into one place since COVID. It was kind of insane. It was also pouring rain. We stood in the rain for 4 hours waiting for Happily to start, which it did. Unfortunately, due to the rain, we didn't get Tinkerbell. But it was amazing to see Magic Kingdom fireworks back. I think we were all just like so excited for this moment, so happy that it was actually here. The fireworks were fantastic. It's, I think, 98% of Happily Ever After pre-COVID. I think there's a little bit of pyro on the castle that you don't get all of, but other than that, it feels like the old Happily Ever After experience.
I got to address a couple of super chats. So George gave us $4.99. Thanks for that. It said schedule a live rehearsal and go live for a couple hours, spend some time working out the kinks. We are in a brand new studio. We are using brand new systems, so I apologize for that. But we will work out the kinks on this one, and we will be better about that. ParksCenter is usually pretty punctual about getting started, so we are using some new technology here. So thank you for those notes. And then Rob says, welcome back, ParksCenter. We have missed you guys, and we missed you too. So thank you guys so much for those super chats. We really appreciate it. Let me skip over now to Epcot Forever. Can you handle it? Can you handle a conversation about Epcot Forever?
I mean, you're not going to like what I have to say.
Lay it on me.
So we went to Epcot Forever on 4th of July, actually, and Epcot Forever is a truncated experience because you have a lot of floating debris, let's say, in the World Showcase Lagoon. You have all the harmonious barges, which if you have been to Epcot, I know if you've seen the pictures, they look massive, but when you're there, I mean, it takes up so much of the lagoon, it's crazy. So obviously, part of Epcot Forever just can't happen. Those kites can't happen, which to me were, I know, lots of jokes about whatever, but I thought they were fun. They were cool. They made the show really interesting. And so you've got all these fireworks going, but all these barges in the way. And it was just, like, it was, if you thought Epcot Forever, and I know several people at WWNT are not big fans of Epcot Forever before, it's less good now. Let's just say it's even less good now. Not something I would wait all night in Epcot to see again.
Okay. So moving on from that, extra magic hours are gone. We're going to have early morning hours if you're staying in hotels. And then also, I think the more controversial thing is this if you're staying in a deluxe, you get late night hours. How do you feel about that?
So I think we're going to talk later in the show about what we think is probably happening with FastPass, where there's now going to be probably money attached. And I think this is another place where I feel like Disney is pricing out the average family. Like, there's all this special stuff, but you only get it if you have the money to spend. And I know that's always been the case, but I feel like this is starting to get really elitist. That it's like, you only get it, but not if you're just not if you're a resort guest. You have to be a deluxe resort guest to get the evening magic hours, which I think is kind of, I don't know, I don't like that they're going this way of everything. It's so expensive to go to the parks already, and then every little additional perk you want is more money, more money, more money, more money. And I think they're gonna start turning people off with just constantly charging you for nickel and diming you. And it's not even nickel and diming you. It's like $20 billing you for every single little extra thing you want.
Yeah, that's not good. And I think that was one of the concerns we had with the My Disney experience moving into it, that the Magic Bands would create some issue where if you wanted your kid's name on a board that you'd have to pay more money. Things like that were rumored at the time. Yeah, it really kind of hurts a family when you've got the haves and have-nots. You see something really cool. That's what I actually have a problem with that about Universal with the wands and how expensive they are. Because if you're a little kid and you can't have a wand, they're expensive.
Well, staying at a deluxe resort is a lot more expensive than a wand, so.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Finally, from the Disney World wrap-up, we're going to talk about food and wine a little bit. Have you had a chance to look at the menus? I know this is it's coming up, and this is the first time you've been a Florida resident and can take advantage of it more often.
Yes. I'm actually really excited for food and wine because this is our first, since pre-COVID, this is our first non-taste of festival. We actually get the whole festival and not a taste of food and wine like we did last year. I'm really excited that there are, I think, seven new booths coming this year. I'm especially excited for the Noodles booth. I think that looks fantastic. And I hate to say this, I'm excited for the menu for the booth that's going to be inside the American Adventure Rotunda. I'm opposed to the idea that they're putting a food booth inside the American Adventure Rotunda because that's not what that's for. But the menu for it looks good, so I'm excited to try that.
You think they're trying to lure people in to watch the American Adventure?
So quick story, on the 4th of July, we went to see the American Adventure because it's 4th of July and that seems like a thing you should do. And the show actually malfunctioned and we got evac.
And talk to her a little bit about Disneyland. Katie, are you there? She's there.
I'm here. Hello.
Hey, Katie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So I'm hoping everybody can hear Katie. We are going to talk to you a little bit about, we want to start talking about the Jungle Cruise soft open, and you got a chance to ride that. How was that?
Yes. So it's been a long time since we've seen a Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. Obviously, it did not open with the park. So we had all been waiting for the renovations and a whole new storyline to be at Disneyland. It was supposed to open on the 16th. It ended up soft opening this week. I was lucky enough to hop on it yesterday, and it's a little different. Like it was weird going back just because I hadn't done it in so long. It was kind of like, was this here? Is this new? And going through it in my head, but it just seems a little bit more like it's almost like there's less of a storyline now, if that makes sense. Like the only scenes that are relatively like noticeable are there's a lot more monkeys, and obviously the safari scene, we have characters now represented up on the pole where the rhino is chasing them, and characters that can be seen throughout the queue that are linked in with the whole sea storyline. So it's pulling in the storyline that we see in parks across the entire world at Disney, but it's obviously different. It's not what we're all used to. It's okay. I wouldn't say I hate it. I wouldn't say I love it. It's different. I don't think it's too big of a change. It's always sad to see things go at Disney, but honestly, I don't think this is one to be too upset over. I'm excited for people to see it for themselves and hear more about different takes because I've been hearing mixed responses about it, but I thought it was I don't have too big of a reaction about it.
So this was soft open, right? So the full thing is supposed to open on the 15th, right? Or I'm sorry, is it 15th or 16th? 16th.
The 16th
Yeah.
was supposed to open, which is
So
the day before the
do
anniversary.
you think do you think you'll like it better then? Do you think there's anything they could do to make you like it a little bit more?
I heard that they're going to continue to add more things to the queue. I guess they weren't done with the queue when they soft opened, but maybe it'll grow on me. Like I said, I don't hate it. I don't personally love it. Jungle Cruise has always just been like a ride that's there for me. It was never my favorite, but hopefully it grows on me. I do think the new scenes are cute. Like that's all I could say is they're cute. They're nice. I don't think the average guest going, like anyone who goes to Disneyland a few times, is gonna be like, oh my gosh, Jungle Cruise is insanely different. But the queue, I honestly think the queue was a bigger change than the actual attraction. There's obviously all these like little hints to storyline and boxes with Mystic Manor, shipping addresses, and everything. So hardcore Disney fans will see it, but the average guest won't.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about something you might like a little bit more. Oogie Boogie Bash is coming back. Are you excited about that? What do you think it's going to be like post-COVID?
I absolutely love Halloween in the parks. I think it's so much fun, so much energy. People here are crazy about Halloween in the parks. So many diehard Halloween fans out here. We have Funimation Holiday, obviously, in Disneyland. So I'm really excited for Oogie Boogie Bash to be coming back to DCA. Last time it was obviously 2019. But it's a really fun event. They do a great job making California Adventure as spooky as possible. Redwood Creek Challenge Trail is all lit up at night, and you can walk through, and there's a Mickey trick or treat show. It's really awesome. It starts on September 9th and will be going through October 31st.
Okay. Let me buy me a ticket. I want to come. So the next thing I got to ask you about is the power outage. Were you there for the power outage?
So I was not. Our other reporter, Allie, was there. I was at Universal. So we were both at at Parks, but she was the one there dealing with the power outage. Um, me watching as an outsider, it looked like it was just down for about an hour. Obviously, the heat has been kind of crazy in Southern California. We are going through rolling blackouts. Different counties will get them. So I'm I'm assuming that's what happened at Disney, and it seems like it was mainly most of the bigger attractions. And actually, DCA seemed like it was affected more than Disneyland, but it only lasted an hour. But still, a very rare occurrence that doesn't happen very often. So crazy, crazy on the 4th of July.
There should be an exemption for Disneyland on rolling blackouts, don't you think?
You know, if only the city liked Disney.
Okay, good point. And finally, we've been away for a while. One of the things we were talking about right before ParksCenter we ended the Wednesday night show was we were talking about Avengers Campus, and you've had a lot of time to be in Avengers Campus. Have you had your picture taken with every version of Loki at this point? And what are you thinking about the Avengers Campus these days?
I loved Bugs Land. I was really had mixed emotions going into the opening of Avengers Campus, and actually it is growing on me. The first day, opening day, when I was there, I could not wait to get out of here. I was like, oh, I could be in Cars Land right now. It just seems like it's very boring. At first it was very boring just because they were getting in the swing of things. Mobile ordering was a mess, and web slingers was a mess, and there were queues to get into the land. But now everything's opening up, and it's become a little bit more enjoyable, less crowds in there, easier to get food, easier to get a boarding group for web slingers. The character interaction really is great in the land. I love how they are continuing to change the characters as they're coming out. Like, obviously, as Loki's coming out, there's a new character appearance almost every week since the show's been coming out. And I have not gotten a picture with every single one, but I've seen them. And the guy who plays Loki, who's there almost all of the time, is so great. And even Loki will interact with Thor when he's walking by, or Iron Man. So not even are they interacting with the guests, the heroes are interacting with each other. So I think it's really making the land come to life. I think it'll start to settle more into the park and hopefully become a more enjoyable spot. I think it's moving that way, though. I lost you, Rob.
Great information. So here, Mr. Tom Corliss. How are you,
Stay
sir?
tuned, everyone.
I am well. I'm doing better than
We're dealing with some
difficulties.
difficulties today.
Yeah, it's been a challenge, and so again, thank you guys so much for sticking around with us during this. We really appreciate it. But you got to go over to Disneyland Paris and see the grand reopening of it. How did they do as far as grand reopenings? You've been to only one other.
Well, they were one of the few people that had more than one reopening, so I think
Sure.
they knew how to do it already.
Okay, good
right?
point.
You've done it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything went really smooth. Everything was great. I mean, it was weird to kind of go back in time to COVID protocols. So it was weird to have floor markers and plexiglass and all of that again, and masks everywhere. And then you come home to here, and I felt weird every time I've gotten up at a restaurant. I felt weird because I'm like, did I forget my mask? And I'm like, no, you don't need them here anymore.
Yeah, I actually went to Happily last night, and I guess we've cured COVID. I mean, it looks like it when you're there. Everybody was packed in, like Jill was talking about earlier. And yeah, it does feel weird, like even getting on a bus and having to wear a mask. I can't imagine having to go back to it like throughout the park.
Every second of the day, yeah. So I think it's going to be a thing there for a long time. I don't think they're going to be relinquishing the protocols as quickly as we have. I think their vaccination rate is much lower. And as a society, I think they're also just a little, they're going to play things a little safer. There's less of a public outcry to get rid of masks in France than there is in the United States. So, but no, as a reopening, like they did some really cute stuff. I think Disneyland Paris outdid everybody in entertainment. Like everyone was defeated by Disneyland Paris. I think I saw more meet and greets at COVID Disneyland Paris than I saw at Walt Disney World the last 10 years. Like it's insane, and everyone was in special costumes, and It's a ton of cavalcades and a lot of surprise appearances. And so entertainment-wise, I think even Tokyo was topped by Paris. Paris destroyed everyone when it came to entertainment offerings. They went above and beyond. They really tried to make people feel like, oh yeah, this is as magical as it was before, even though the character cannot hug me. I feel like this is the Disney magic I was promised.
All right, so I have a question. I think you experienced a mudslide? Is that what happened?
Experienced a mudslide?
Did you
Yeah,
experience
in the studio tonight. That's why nothing's working.
California-style mudslides in Florida? I mean, in Paris? Did you have that?
Are you talking about a car? Was it a Cars catastrophe?
Oh, yes. I was going to ask you if it was a Cars catastrophe.
Catastrophe? Is that what we're transitioning into?
No, wasn't there the rain and it
Oh, it wasn't a mudslide. So it rained a lot. I don't know. I thought you were joking when we were talking about the oil tanker coming off the hill. No, there was a night where the rain was particularly bad. We actually live streamed it. So if you go back on this channel and go back to the Saturday? I don't remember what day it was. But we were in the queue for Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was pretty crazy. And then the aftermath was the entrance to Adventureland in Paris is all sand, these sandy hills. And so when we went to leave, we saw that the sandy hills had all come down into the path. But to the cast members' credit, by the next day they cleaned everything up. It was, they acted fast. Everyone did a good job.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, and you mentioned Cars. I think you and I are both huge fans of Cars Land in California.
Yes.
So,
The movie in general. I like the movie in general. Not
So-
the second one.
What? Not the second one?
No, I've only seen, people know I'm a big Cars fan, so they assume I like them all. I've only seen Cars 2 once, and I refuse to watch it again.
Wow.
I won't watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think Cruz Ramirez cheated to win the Piston Cup? You want to talk about that a little bit? No, let's talk about
I don't
the
want to get
attraction.
into the doping scandal. I don't wanna
Let's
go
talk
there.
about the attraction there, because the characters looked really cool, but I feel like that's all you liked about that attraction.
So here's the thing. If people watching this channel probably for weeks and months saw me go on and on about, oh, I love it. It's going to be the worst thing ever. I'm so excited for it. And then I wrote it, and everyone, like even people there, stopped me and were like, oh, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be? And then I disappointed them by saying that it wasn't. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think here's the rule of theme parks is whatever you replace something with has to be better than what came before it, or you'll never hear the end of it, right? And in the case of Cars Route 66, or no, I'm sorry, they had to change it. Cars Road Trip, because someone in Europe owns a Route 66, apparently. So Cars Road Trip replaced the Studio Tram Tour at Walt Disney Studios Paris, which is one of the worst attractions they've ever done to begin with. So I don't know, by shortening it and making it like an outside dark ride, it felt like Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. It's like a higher capacity version of Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. And at that point, I wrote, I was like, it's not good, but at the same time, I didn't wait long for it. It didn't take 25 minutes to complete the ride. I didn't feel like I wasted my time. It was another short thing to do, and I think people with kids will have a couple of minutes of enjoyment that they didn't wait long for at Disneyland, at that park, which is good. I think it would have been way worse to take capacity away from that park in the midst of its expansion. Because you already are down a couple things thanks to Avengers Campus. You lost Armageddon. You don't have Rock and Roller Coaster right now. And Lights, Motors, Action is gone. So you've lost, or Motors Action, excuse me. You've lost a lot in that park, so I don't, I approve of keeping capacity.
Okay. The other big thing that happened while you were there was the Disney's Hotel New York, The Art of Marvel.
Yes.
And I feel like you loved that.
I did and I didn't.
Okay.
There were moments. Hotel New York was definitely stuck in 1992 Disneyland Paris. And of course, it was a Michael Graves thing, and Michael Eisner loved Michael Graves' architecture. So he had him do the Team Disney buildings, and even Celebration Place down the road, I believe, is Michael Graves. And really like that minimalist style, which eventually a lot of other people embraced because they realized it was cheap. But Michael Graves didn't do it because it was cheap. That was just the style he believed in. That was his style. And what I liked about it was I was surprised it seemed like someone actually thought about it, because Michael Graves, the simplistic style of that, with especially the exterior of the building, with the coloring of like a comic book, those vibrant reds and really striking beige and the black, really works well in the Michael Graves architecture. It does look like you're looking at a comic book. And so that worked I was surprised how much better the building looked than it used to look. And then as far as like it was all very much needed. Like everything felt needed. The Skyline bar is a tremendous improvement. Yeah, it's screen-based, which isn't my favorite thing, but the drink menu was really good. You can watch the full video here on YouTube. We have all the effects that happen in the window. Spider-Man will swing by, Iron Man will fly in at one point. And then there's a whole transition from day to night if you're there at the right time. Then they have drinks themed to Infinity Stones. It's really great. The Manhattan restaurants, it's kind of plain, but food was good. The downtown restaurant, same thing. And then the thing that really I thought was great was the suites. The suites are really striking. The Spider-Man suite, I think, is one of the coolest hotel rooms in any Disney hotel anywhere. Again, you watch full tours of these right here on the channel. The Spider-Man suite and even the Avengers suite I thought were super cool. And then I was surprised how much I liked, we had an Empire State Club room, which is their concierge level. And I was like, we went in and it's the standard room with a few pluses. And so I went in, I was like, this doesn't look as plain as a lot of the pictures look. I'm okay with this. The room felt nice enough and themed enough. And then we made the mistake was the last night we did the standard room. And the standard room was terrible. Standard room, once you take away those pluses that they do for the Empire State Club version, you do away with the plush headboard, you get just this plain, I don't know what the headboard's made of, maybe plastic at that point, I don't know, or something cheap and thin. And then you get there's only two pieces of art. The hotel is called the Art of Marvel. My room has 2 pieces of art. I have to pay 400 euros more a night to get 4 more pieces of art in the room. That seems insane. They're lithographs, they're giclées. They cost you to make, they probably cost you like 25 bucks. Like, it's an art hotel. Put some more art in it. That would be great. But all in all, I think in the end, the hotel needed a refresh. People there love Marvel. And I think overall, it was a plus. Overall, they improved the hotel, at least compared to the version of it that existed 3-4 years ago. There are still some moments where it's like Chapek era Disney. There's still some of those moments. But overall, I felt like there was some effort, and it's charming enough, and it works well enough to where I think it's an improvement for Paris.
But that's really weird to think that there's like a value level in the same hotel, or like a different level of quality in the same hotel.
And the crazy thing is the pricing, right? Because what we paid for that regular, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 500 euros a night for the regular room? Was that right? And the benefits are pretty nice. If you're going to splurge on a trip to Disneyland Paris, I think the Empire State Club room, for the price, I think we were treated well and it was nice enough. But then for just a couple hundred more at that point, you might as well, if someone in your family loves Spider-Man to that point, to where that would like be a thing they remember forever, or a big Avengers fan and staying in that suite is a thing they'd remember forever. That's where I think this hotel makes sense for people. I don't think anyone, as they're like, we want to stay on property, but we want something kind of nice, but not in that, we don't want to pay over €1,000 a night. Then I don't think this is the hotel. Yeah. If you are people with a family member or friend that's real, like giant Marvel fan, like couldn't be any bigger of a Marvel fan, then I think you do it up big and you do the Spider-Man suite, and it's something you'll never forget. It's something that person will remember the rest of their life.
That sounds pretty exciting. I would like to go do that.
Yeah.
How is the concept art at that hotel?
The ones I had taken down, or the ones that I don't know.
I was thinking about the ones you had taken down, but that's fine. We'll talk about that maybe in the post show. So another thing we were going to do, so that's around the hub. We're going to go every week. We'll start talking about each of the parks around the world and give you the updates that we can from people who've actually been there. And another thing we want to do is give you an update of this week at Disney Parks. So July 13th, there's going to be the opening of Disney's Davy Crockett Ranch. July 15th, a lot of stuff's happening. Citrico's reopens. Katsaka's Kettle reopens at Disneyland. The 2021 International Food and Wine Festival opens up, and I think there will be some people in this room that are there. And then the Wave closes. They're going to be moving that breakfast, as you probably read on our website, up to the California Grill. July 17th is the birthday for Disneyland, 66th anniversary. There's the new Coco scene, which again, hopefully you've read about on our blog, is going to be debuting there and at Disneyland Paris. Trails Inn will be reopening, and the Wine Country Trattoria will be reopening on that day. So it's going to be a big week in Disney parks, and we'll be talking about that more next week. One thing we're going to be talking about up here in a minute is we're going to be giving you a Universal update, which is something we didn't used to do on ParksCenter. So that is going to be really exciting right after this commercial break. Stick around.
Welcome to Unplanned Downtime, the YouTube channel for all your favorites, including Cosmic Read Live, discussions of imaginary attractions, Deep in the Plus, reviewing the catalog on Disney Plus, Ink and Paint, celebrating female voices in the Disney fandom, WDW News Tonight, a late-night comedy show with sketches and characters, Boxed In, opening mystery packages and viewer mail, Picky Eaters, trying to eat our way across Disney restaurants, WDW TV RPG, a tabletop adventure set in Tokyo Disney Sea, and more of your favorites. Subscribe now at unplanneddowntime.com. Remember, it's not an accident, it's unplanned downtime. WDWNT presents Timekeeping, a year-by-year journey through the history of the vacation kingdom of the world. Join us for the premiere Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, or watch on demand anytime on the WDW News Today YouTube channel.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. I'm watching Eric Wolf in the back of the room dancing to the new intro music, so thanks for that. One of the things, again, like I said, we didn't used to do, we would just talk about Disney parks, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about with Universal. So we're going to we'll talk about Universal Florida and Universal California, but here in studio to talk about Universal Florida is Annie. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. We appreciate you being here. I'm not sure if her mic is up though, right?
Can you hear me?
Sorry for the technical problems again, folks. So one of the things we want to talk about with Annie though is there's a new virtual queue system. Tell us a little bit about that.
So if you've been to Universal, a lot of times Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, long name, has a virtual queue. You can't just do standby. They don't accept express passes. Before you could just go on the app and you would select a return time, and now they've been testing a new system. They're supposed to be just testing it for a week and then kind of just gauging how it goes and things like that. You actually have to scan like the QR code, you register, you have to put your email in, the number of guests, things like that. When I first looked at it, I kind of thought this just seemed a little bit like overcomplicated.
Right.
I think guests already struggled with the virtual line through the app. Now this just added extra steps, but once I started thinking about it and talking to team members about how it works, it almost seems like it might be better. Previously, you would select like a return time, like you would go and select between 1 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. and that was your window to ride the attraction. Now, a lot of times the attraction goes down for technical issues.
You're talking about Hagrid's at this point, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hagrid's
okay.
is the main one.
Let's just put it out there. It's Hagrid's, right?
Yeah, exactly. Rushed. Velocicoaster doesn't have many problems. Not gonna, just throw that out there. But anyway, so then guests would get the return time. Previously, it would be like 1 to 1:30, and as we know, Florida, storms, especially in the summer. So if the ride was down for weather, you just didn't get a time. It just kind of like went away. Like you didn't get to go back later that day. Sometimes people would screenshot it before it disappeared from their app. Now with this new system, you register that you want to ride, how many people you want to ride with, and then it gives you like a countdown. So it'll say like 3 hours or so before your time, and then you can watch it like slowly ticking away. Now that also, if there's weather, if it goes down, it won't affect you. It just makes your time go a little farther out. So it's not like you completely lose the opportunity to ride, which I think might be one of the main reasons they've done it. Also, speaking to team members, they say that it's a lot shorter that you actually wait in a physical line. People were getting virtual lines and then saying they were waiting 90 minutes, 2 hours even in the line. So what's the point of a virtual line if you're going to be waiting that long?
Right.
Whereas this is, they want them in and out of the line within like 20 minutes. So it'd be a lot less people in the queue, a lot faster. So that's kind of one of the other main points. So when I talked to some team members today, they said it seems pretty successful from what they've had the last few days. It should be testing a couple more days, and then they'll probably go back to standby, and then they're not really sure what'll happen from there.
So you're sold on this system?
No.
Okay.
It seems like a good idea, but I think it's frustrating when you can't just get in line for something.
Yeah, I agree. There's an attraction called never mind. We'll talk about that later. The other thing is, I don't know if anybody knows, but there's this Halloween event coming up, Halloween Horror Nights.
I think I've heard something about
yeah.
that.
I feel like that's your busy time of the year. What kind of things are you excited about now? What are the new announcements that you're really looking forward to?
Everyone's kind of just waiting for house announcements. We have a speculation map on universalparksnewstoday.com. So if you check that out, there's one also for California as well as Florida. So far, it looks like it could be accurate. We obviously know Beetlejuice is confirmed. They have confirmed that Jack will be back for this year's event. And we've just gotten the announcement of the Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix series.
And there's merch already for that, right?
Oh yeah, they've done preview merch. When they announced the Beetlejuice house, they did some Beetlejuice preview merchandise. They did a Jack shirt a couple weeks ago. Now there's the Haunting of Hill House shirts available. And as they announce more houses, they'll put out preview merchandise just for a little bit. And so, go over, grab that, spend your money early, slowly. That way when the event starts, you don't just go broke like I did last year when they started putting out all the merchandise.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we've got a lot more to talk about Horror Nights as we move forward on that one. But one other thing I want to talk to you about tonight, the lights returning to Hogwarts. As the COVID restrictions are going back, Hogwarts lights are here. Have you seen them yet?
Yeah, I have. It's great, and it starts on the app. It says dusk, which I've learned is usually around 9 o'clock if the park is open till 10. So, and it's several times in a night. So it's not just like a one and done shot, which is great because if you want to get a few more rides in and then see them, or if you want to see them early and then grab another spot on a Velocicoaster. That's kind of my go-to. But the one thing I will say is that there's a lot of crowd control and one-way traffic through there. So if you're in Jurassic Park, you are not able to cross back over into Hogsmeade to see the show. So you'll have to go over the bypass bridge and then cross through Hogsmeade from the front. So that's one thing. So if you are going to see the show, but it was great the first night. It was raining, everyone was excited. People were out there in their ponchos, umbrellas. I had a friend that was holding an umbrella over me, so I had my little stabilizer videoing and trying to take pictures at the same time. But nice. Everyone was really excited. It's good to see things getting back to normal like that.
Very cool. Okay, thank you so much, Annie. I appreciate it. And again, we'll have Annie back to talk to us a lot more about Halloween Horror Nights as they get closer. Thanks so much. So we're going to try to go back to Katie. Katie, are you still there?
Still there? Okay. So Katie, we were just talking about how I don't know how much of it you were able to hear from where you are, but we were talking about how the lights have returned to Hogwarts, and fireworks are returning to Universal California, are they not?
Yes, so right now, not regularly. We had them back for the 4th of July, but they should be coming soon.
Did you get to see them?
Yes, so I was there for the 4th of July. Like I said, Allie, our other Disneyland reporter, was at Disney during the power outage. but I was lucky enough to be there. Right now, Universal doesn't have any reservations. Um, it's a free for all basically, and I was expecting on the 4th of July for them to cut off capacity, just assuming people were going to be there waiting for fireworks. And they never cut off capacity, and the park was full. And Universal Studios Hollywood, if you're not familiar, has two levels, the upper lot and the lower lot. And there were fireworks on the lower lot from Transformers, and then the upper lot just from the main near the main entrance of the park, looking out over Hogwarts. So once the fireworks were over, everyone from the lower lot was trying to get up to the top to leave, and they blocked it all off. They turned off the escalators and said, "You have to stay down here," because it was so crowded on the upper lot. So it was kind of a mess. I think it may have been a little bit over capacity, probably for the holiday, but the fireworks were great. It was awesome to see fireworks in that park again. I I think it's awesome that they did it from both lots too, just so there's more space for everyone. But we have a full video up on our YouTube channel, so make sure to check it out. If you want to see the 4th of July fireworks, hopefully we see more return. If you want to see them every day a little bit, you can go check out Waterworld, the stunt show, they do fireworks, and there's about 5 to 6 showings a day. So until then, that's all we have, but hopefully soon.
Very cool. One of the other things we wanted to talk to you about was any new progress on Nintendo Land out there, because I know that, again, that's one of the things I think we're all really looking forward to seeing come to America at this point.
Yes, so I am very excited. We have no date yet. I think we'll probably aim for end of 2022, but progress is moving along. It is on the lower lot, and as you're going down, you can look right over the entire progress basically of what has been built so far, and most of the structural construction is done. We're waiting to see more sets, obviously, and it was so fun watching it be built from here in Tokyo and see them add the small little moving animatronics and see the world slowly come to life. So I'm really excited to see it happen here. I think it's going to be an amazing addition to Hollywood and eventually Orlando.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to Katie and to Annie for giving us updates on Universal. And again, something new that we're going to be doing every week. And one other thing we want to be talking about is what's coming up. We also have Ink and Paint on its new night, Wednesday nights. And then we also have WDW News Tonight is back as of last Thursday. This past Thursday, it was the first show back in the new studio, and next, the July 15th, it'll be back again. And then Boxed In, July 16th from 7 to 8 p.m. And then our Wigs exclusive Ride Rehab Watches will be on July 16th from 9 to 11. And then don't forget, on this channel, we also have Timekeeping will be on Tuesday night. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you get WDW News Today with Tom Corliss, the latest Disney Parks news. And then on Thursdays on our Universal Parks News Today channel, you'll get News Today with Universal Parks News Today. So we've got a lot of content for you guys. Thank you again for sticking with us tonight. We know there have been a few technical issues, so we apologize for that. And we're going to take another commercial break, and we'll be back with a roundtable discussion about FastPass and its future and what it'll cost us down the road. Stick around.
Looking for the latest in Disney news on the go? Then download WDWNT the app. From news to videos to park hours and more, WDWNT the app is your one-stop shop for the latest from the Disney world. Available on iPhone and Android, just search for WDWNT in your device's app store.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. One of the shows that we had was Pressing Issues, and when we sat down to try to figure out how to make Build the Better Beast, we were going to combine ParksCenter and Pressing Issues into one show. So this would be the section of the show where we're going to talk a little bit as a panel discussion about FastPass. Now, I've gotten so many questions from people who are like, oh, when is FastPass returning? It's definitely something we've all missed. There are times where you can go into a park and walk around and the lines are so long everywhere, you just kind of feel like, you know, maybe I'll just eat some food and leave. So there is a return to FastPass, but we're not really sure what that is. To start this panel off, though, I want to go to Mr. Tom Corliss and get your thoughts on the new pass at Disneyland Paris and what you think the impact will be on the U.S. parks.
Oh, you mean Disney Premier Access?
Sure.
Which, of course, you can also get Disney Plus Premier Access. You could pay $30 to watch Black Widow at home.
Well, let's not do that.
Or you can go on upwards of 3 attractions at Disneyland. It depends on the season. Because they're €15 each, and then you can only do like 1.5.
I'm guessing you're not a fan of that.
I don't know if I am a fan or I'm not a fan. Here's the thing with Disneyland Paris. No one needs a fast pass at Disneyland Paris. Even at their busiest season, if you show up in the morning, they're like peak attractions that offer fast pass to begin with. You'll be fine. Like, it's only a midday. You only really need it midday. So that's what I don't understand. The one attraction at Disneyland Paris that you would need fast pass for, I think, doesn't even offer. Crush's Coaster doesn't even have fast pass, so it doesn't really help anyone. So it's interesting that they're doing it in Paris. I'm sure people will do like they've done in Shanghai. They show up midday. They're like, oh, they have to wait 2 hours for Hyperspace Mountain. And Disney's like, oh, you can give us €8. You can go on now. And they're like, okay. And that's, they're going to make some sales. I don't think it's going to be a thing people love. I don't think it's going to gain widespread use. But also Disneyland Paris, I don't think it's going to break the system. I don't think their Fast Pass is such an integral part of the day-to-day experience like it is at Disneyland and Disney World. So I think at Disneyland Paris, like, this could stay and the world will not change. But if this is what happens at Disney World, if we do not bring back a free version of Fast Pass at all, you're going to have some anarchy. You're going to have the public backlash is going to be the likes of which you've never seen before, number one. And number two, like, I just think everything's going to fall apart.
But they have the standby pass in Paris, right?
Let's clarify standby pass. Standby pass does not save you time. That's not what it is. It is to gain access to the standby line. So the way you should look at standby pass is the same way you look at a boarding group for Rise of the Resistance. Yes, I am guaranteed access to a ride. I am not guaranteed a short wait. So you can show up at Rise of the Resistance sometimes. Sometimes you wait 30 minutes. Sometimes you wait an hour and a half. So it's really going to depend on how Standby Pass is running that day. But it's not a Fast Pass alternative. It is a way of controlling the standby line based on demand. It's not an alternative to a standby line.
Yeah.
Same as Hagrid's, the virtual queue we just talked about for Hagrid's. It's the same exact thing where if we did it yesterday, if we had gone into the virtual queue, we could have waited hours. It depends on the day.
But Universal already has an upcharge pass. Like, that's the weird, yeah. So that's the weird thing. And
exclusively, they do not have a free fast pass.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, the fact that that ticket costs you about the same amount as a day ticket to get into Universal is just appalling. And I know, Jill, you were talking about earlier about upcharges, so I know you have some thoughts on this too.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to Universal, you can spend, I think it's like $90. Maybe it's even more, I think, in peak periods. For an express pass, but that gets you on every ride. It's not like you pay per ride. Well, except I think it doesn't actually get you on Hagrid's. That's like the one exception, like Crush's Coaster. But you're not paying for every ride. Whereas this new Premier Access Fast Pass system, you're paying per ride. So it could be €8 here and €7 there and €10 here. And suddenly you could be adding up to even more than Universal's Express Pass ticket if you want it for every attraction. So I don't think it's again, it's this whole idea of you're nickel and diming people. And I understand if there's and to Tom's point, I think it's going to break the system because there are absolutely attractions that people won't spend this money on. But there are absolutely attractions that they will. Like the line for Mine Train or Slinky Dog is always like 70 plus minutes no matter when you're in the park. If everybody is suddenly, oh, we're only in Hollywood Studios for one day, and if we don't ride Slinky Dog today, my kid's not gonna get to ride it, and they really wanna ride it, so we're gonna pay $40 for a family of 4 at $10 a pop to get a fast pass for Slinky Dog. That's gonna break the entire queue for Slinky Dog. Like I can't imagine what that would do to the standby queue. And then the way FastPass used to work when it was free was there was a FastPass queue and a standby queue. And they would let FastPass people in and then stop them, and let standby people in and then stop them, and vice versa. But if you're suddenly now paying for FastPass, how tolerant are you going to be that you're watching standby people go on the ride in front of you? So I think it's going to be anarchy on both ends, you know? Like I don't see a way that this is absolutely, if nothing else, going to degrade the like attitude that people have when they're going on attractions in the park.
My father would burn that queue to the ground. If we paid $8 to ride something and then people cut us off, my father would burn that queue to the ground.
You see, what I think though is a fair solution, and Desi, maybe have you used MaxPass before?
No, but my husband is a travel agent, so he explained the whole MaxPass thing to me, and apparently if you pay for the more expensive hotel room, it's included at Universal.
Yes,
So
at
if
Universal.
you pay for that, so I'm just wondering, like, would Disney do the same thing? Where, okay, if you're staying at the Grand Floridian, you can get fast passes included, but if you're staying at the All-Stars, you have to pay $10+ per ride.
Well, and they tried something like that, right? With like some kind of an upcharge, it got you 3 more fast passes that they were doing for
Are we
a
talking
while.
about the concierge?
Yes.
Yeah, they did it. There was a period where they did the concierge thing where you could buy additional fast passes. Yeah. And that didn't go over well with the public. And let's think about how small of a group of people that is. You sold to do you know how few concierge level rooms there are at Walt Disney World?
Right.
There's not many. And the world imploded at that moment where it's class warfare, it's unfair, it's pay to play. And again, imagine doing that full scale. Imagine unleashing that to the world and being like, whoever wants to give me money, I will let you on Rise of the Resistance, and you can cut those people off.
Yeah, I think whoever decided to put those tents in Tomorrowland was probably the same person that worked up the
I don't know, the
concierge.
tents in Tomorrowland seem like a bargain now.
So MaxPass to me seems like the best option, right? So MaxPass,
Oh, you mean at
MaxPass at
Disneyland?
Disneyland
Okay.
is, it was $10 to
everything is
$15
passed.
extra. Yeah, everything passed. Express Pass, MaxPass, Premier Pass, Fast Pass. So it seemed like a better option to me because you still had the free Fast Passes, but if you wanted to pay extra, you could get, the convenience really is what you were getting.
And your photos are included with MaxPass too.
Yeah. So they gave you a little bit of something else. So that model I didn't mind at all. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to hate that model when it first started.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to pay an extra $10 for something that's been free? And then when I started doing it, I was like, I would pay $10 every time to do this, and then they raised it to $15.
Was it a model or a litmus test, right? That's the question. Was it an actual service change that they thought would be a greater convenience for people? Or was it, could we charge people? And did the test succeed to the point where, Bob Chapek's eyes figuratively and literally rolled to dollar signs and said, like, you can do this. So here's the thing. When I went to Shanghai, this already existed. Not without FastPass. FastPass still existed. But this buy a FastPass thing was already a thing. And so we tried it out. There was no one there the first 2 days we were there. The third day, our last day was busy, and before we left, it was like, I'd like to ride Tron one more time. It's a 90-minute wait. Let's try it. I want to see how this works. So you open the app, buy it, your card's linked the same way. Your card is probably linked to your Disney World account now. Otherwise, you can't make dining reservations. So because it's already there, you just hit buy, you get the FastPass, and you walk up and use it like a which existing side by side with FastPass, I have no problem with it. And if that's what Disney World and Disneyland decide to do, I don't have a problem. That's fine. People should be able to, if it means that much to them, do everything they want to do. And if the Walt Disney Company is not going to build for capacity like they used to in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, if they're not going to do that, then this is what has to happen so people can enjoy their vacation. Is it right? No. But at the same time, you could go and have a good time, and yeah, they line their pockets. But at least you can have a good time, and it's better than what we've experienced the last couple years where people are miserable.
Yeah.
You know, like, we love Disney World, but at the same time, being out in those parks every day, people were miserable. People were mad they couldn't get a fast pass to things. They wait 3 hours for Mine Train, and they're upset about it. It didn't matter how good the ride was at that point. They'd be upset about it. Although sometimes Flight of Passage, sometimes people wait 3 hours for that and be like, oh my God, it's worth it.
My grandparents did that on Thursday. They waited 3 hours for Flight of Passage and thought it was worth it.
And that's great, but should someone wait? Walt and the early people that created and designed and manufactured these parks tried to manufacture them in a way that 3 hour lines would not exist. And that's the thing they gave up on. And not Chapek, that was given up on a long time ago.
But here's the problem. Whether you're paying for none of this is increasing the capacity of anything.
No.
The problem right now is there's going to be the same number of people who want to ride Mine Train or Slinky Dog or whatever, and it's just a matter of whether you pay to get further up in that line or not. But at the end of the day, there's still only so much, and if people who don't pay for the Fast Pass are suddenly like, okay, now it's a 3 hour wait for Slinky Dog because there are so many people paying for Fast Passes that's how long the queue is, where are those people going to go? There's nowhere else for them to go.
Yes and no. So here's the thing. If something means enough to you in theme, and this applies to every amusement and theme park on this planet, you can rope drop and run to the thing that means something to you. And you won't, statistically, you likely won't wait the longest wait of the day. And if you outrun people, you might do pretty well, in fact. And that's never changed over time. That's the problem is there will always be hundreds of thousands of people who show up to theme parks after noon, after 12 p.m. worldwide. Those people will always exist, and those are the people that'll complain. You raise your hand. I don't disagree. I don't like to get up early either, but I tell you, when I go to Tokyo, do you know where I am at 7 a.m.? I'm outside that gate because I know I don't have another option.
We have a different experience because if I want to ride something, I'm okay with going to a park.
Yeah.
That's the only, I might have to wait an hour plus. That's the thing I want to ride. I ride that thing, and then I maybe go couple shops, have a snack, go home. I'm okay with that being my park day, but that is not what the vast majority of people experience.
Yeah.
But like people, yes, you can rope drop, but I don't know that everyone, your average Disney guest, knows that they need to rope drop or else they're not going to be able to get on this thing they want to get on.
Well, and worse than that is virtual queue. To me, anyway, because there's a chance that you could come for your entire vacation to ride Rise of the Resistance, have one park pass for one day because you couldn't get one to Hollywood Studios, and you get up at 7 a.m., 6:55, and you got your app and you're refreshing it and you miss it, it goes like that.
It's unacceptable that that's your only option.
And then, and exactly, and I don't think most people understand that. And that one, to me, is so frustrating with virtual queue in general, is the idea that you can't even stand by. Now, I get it. I get it because I know from being a cast member that when we would have, like at 9 o'clock at night, whoever was still in the queue, we still had to give them, let them in. So I know you can't have a standby line of 3 hours, at Rise of Resistance. So
you also worked at attractions that had hourly throughputs of 2,500 or higher, which don't exist anymore.
Well, okay, so is that an even bigger problem? Is that the capacity issue?
There's no additional capacity.
Yeah, like Jill was talking about.
The core of the problem is, number one, they don't add enough to parks anymore to match
the increasing number of
has
people.
Gone, right?
Yeah.
But number two is they don't design rides right, if you look at Disneyland, if you follow the trajectory of Disneyland from 1955 to 1967, 69, you see that progression of, oh, the park's getting busier, we have to build more, but we also have to build things that take more people.
Sure.
And thus, and there comes the 1964 World's Fair, and Walt Disney using other people's money to be like, hey, if we did this boat ride, do you think we could do 3,600 people an hour? And we did. And Carousel of Progress, like, you know what's faster than a regular theater? If we move you around to different stages without you moving, that would make the stage show take more people per hour. And the problem is then we regressed. At some point it was decided like, it costs money to come up with new ideas. It costs money to figure something else out. So you know what, if Toy Story Mania does 1,600 people an hour, that's fine. We'll build it, it doesn't matter.
Well, but here's the other problem right now is that post-COVID, there's so many things that still aren't open, and I think that's a longer conversation for us to have at some point.
Shows that eat a lot of people
Yeah.
are not open.
Yeah.
You know, you look at, like, Studios is a big problem. Studios has a huge problem with capacity because Indiana Jones is...
Down this road with you right now.
attractions are they
I'm
building,
not going
Bob?
down this road with you.
Slinky
Rise
Dog Dash?
No, Rise of the
Alien
Resistance, I think.
Swirly
But,
Slinky
you know,
Dog is fun. Okay,
Yeah, but-
Saucers is garbage, but Slinky Dog is fun. I will wait an hour to ride Slinky Dog. I love that ride.
Yeah.
I have
So-
still
But it
not
doesn't
done
eat people.
You haven't
Like,
been on
I mean, I
Slinky
can't
Dog?
imagine.
No, well,
I
I was
respect
pregnant
that.
for 2 years in a row, and then the lines were too long. so.
I can't imagine
Respect.
how lousy the capacity on Slinky has to be, though. Like, it can't.
It's not great.
No.
No.
So then,
And Rise, for that matter, has a
Well,
probably
we know
pretty
Rise. you know.
I'm actually concerned with this whole paid FastPass thing that Rise will only be paid. You can only get on it if you pay for it.
And that's a
I
problem.
don't know about
Like,
that. I
that's
think
the
there'll
problem.
still be some other way.
Yeah. If the only way, like, you're already paying a day ticket is $130. You're already paying $130, and then you have to pay more to ride some of the rides in the park. Like, that's terrible.
It's like if Electronic Arts operated a theme park.
Right? Like, everything is an additional upcharge. Like, oh,
We're gonna
here's
have
$30.
loot boxes
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. Oh, right. You want to buy new armor for your character?
You
It's
want
an additional
cutlery
$5.
at Docking Bay 7? We have a cutlery loot box. Otherwise, you're eating Kadoo ribs with your hands.
Well, and I've seen people online argue, well, you used to have to pay per ride previously, you know, with the whole ticket book system, but it was a lot less to get into.
But
the
you
But
parks
also
did-
back
exactly.
then.
admission was
Admission was barely anything.
admission was purposefully low.
Yeah,
Because they
because
knew
you were
you would
paying
then
per
come
ride.
in and have to buy food and attraction tickets, and there's a difference. Like
Yeah.
when they got rid of ticket books, they then priced the admission as if you were paying for all the rides to be all inclusive. So keeping the all-inclusive price and then charging people more is not really an option.
No.
So let me ask you this: what do you think is? I mean, I know that you printed a couple stories about, you know, what does this mean for Disneyland and Disney World? What do you think the timeline is on that, and what's the best case scenario at this point that we see?
So I'm pretty sure we posted pre-pandemic, around March of 20, we had heard we were a couple of weeks away from paid FastPass. And then the pandemic happened, and so we didn't get paid FastPass. But it was coming to Disney World soon, very soon, and supposedly like Galaxy's Edge was going to be the first place. They were going to try it on Falcon and Rise, and then it closed. And so obviously that put things in limbo. But what's interesting is during the pandemic, Shanghai turned off free FastPass and switched solely to the paid. And then now Disneyland Paris has done the same. So they've realized, like, social media and public outcry wise, if we do this in Shanghai and Paris, you're not going to hear about it really. Paris more so than Shanghai for obvious political reasons. But you know, I think soon. I think we are weeks away.
Really?
I would say. But then again, I don't know, because the public backlash for Paris was so big because I think all of Florida and Anaheim saw the writing on the wall. They immediately, everyone was like, yep, we're next. And they're not wrong, they're right.
Well, and I think there's an element to which Like, I'm honestly, even though capacity has kept increasing in the parks, I'm kind of okay with there not being FastPass. Because now when you're in a standby line, it moves so much faster.
I haven't missed FastPass, honestly.
No, every single attraction I get in line for, the actual wait is almost always, not always, but 9 times out of 10, it's less than the posted wait. I don't have to worry about, oh, look, I'm so close to getting on the ride. Oh, wait, let me wait 10 minutes while they let all these FastPass people in front of me. Like, I think it's an equalizer. I appreciate it. Like, I don't know. I would be okay if they never brought it back.
Me too.
Really? You would be okay if they...
I haven't missed it at all, honestly.
And then Tom's sitting here
Well,
going,
and the paid FastPass thing also, when I was, like, before I had kids, I probably would have done it. Like, you know, just paying for one person to go on a ride that I really liked, fine.
Yeah.
But now that we're a family of 4, it's like that $10 ride just went to $40.
Right, which is lunch. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, do we buy FastPass or do we have lunch? Like, that's literally...
We can eat food, kids, or we can ride something.
Right, and one
But if
thing,
we ride something,
one
we
thing.
won't eat today.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you a question. If it's all about money, why wouldn't they, I mean, they already raise the prices all the time. Why wouldn't they just raise the price?
Because they can do both.
Okay.
Now that this means they
That's
get
right.
to raise the ticket price and charge you for
Yeah.
FastPass.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. Oh, okay, so then the only way for us not to do that is for us not to go. And I don't see me doing that.
That's the thing, is they know they have us right where they want all of us. We've been locked inside, many of us locked inside for a year,
Yeah,
and camera's not coming over here.
I know, it's just,
Did it break? Oh, there we go. We've been locked inside. A lot of people have been locked inside for a year, and we know the demand is there. I can tell you, after spending a Saturday at Universal, Christmas week, I haven't seen it like that. Like, people want to get out, and cruises aren't back yet, and international travel isn't back yet. So where you go? We're going to Orlando. We're going to theme parks. So the demand is there, and they know this is the moment at which you can charge anything. And maybe they do know, like, you know, in a year and a half, we're going to have to self-correct a bit, but maybe in some cases we don't. Maybe our price points for the paid FastPass will be acceptable. Maybe our ticket prices will remain acceptable. There might be something we have to scale back at some point.
Do you think they're running out of time though? Like, I think there was a noticeable change in crowds in Disney World when summer hit. Kids were out of school. Families brought their kids down here because parents have vacation time now saved up because they couldn't go anywhere for a year. So it's like, okay, we can drive to Orlando or we can fly domestically. We can get down there because we can't go to these other places. Absolutely, we can't go to these other places. But 6 weeks from now, school starts again. I don't know that we're going to see that same level of demand to come down here because additionally, like, they're talking about opening Europe back up for international travel. Like, I don't know if I think this crowd level we have right now, which is pretty significant, I don't know that it's going to sustain this way.
I think it'll be like this for a good bit. I think especially with the 50th and the fact that there will be new things, not a lot, but some new things. I think people are going to, I think there's a lot of people who can't travel right now. I think for all the families I think there are a lot of couples and other people that are like, oh, when Food and Wine starts, that's when we'll go to Disney World. Or, you know, we're going to wait for the 50th to start, and then we'll go for that. But I think we're still a bit away from cruises. And as much as, you know, I just traveled internationally, but it's a novelty. It's new, and it's a process, and I don't think a lot of Americans, I think your well-traveled Americans are going to, the second they can go to their favorite place, they're going to, whatever COVID test they have to do, whatever process, it's a fight. And Joe Idaho ain't going to fight to go on his European cruise.
No, but Joe Idaho is also going to not be able to afford to come here anymore.
You'd be amazed. People, that's the thing about Americans, right? We live on credit. And people, if they want to go somewhere, they find money. Like, that's the problem. And Disney can keep raising it, but people just go get another credit card. That's our problem, is we don't actually price anyone out. People don't go away. they just find more credit,
Okay.
right?
I don't know that I agree with that, but
Well, let's skip over that for a second. I want to come back to virtual, the virtual queue. Do you think that's something that will be incorporated into this new FastPass? That you cannot get into an attraction unless you have the FastPass?
I don't think they're necessarily connected. I think
Okay.
Rise is Rise.
Well,
if
and then
they
you've got
decide they wanna
Indiana
keep-
and Web Slingers.
Well, Indy's a test, right? They said Indy's a test, and I think they've been using it less than they have. They've been using it less often than they have not been using it. I think the last couple of days it's been almost not on. So I think in the case of Web Slingers and Rise, it serves a function for them in that they feel the standby line would be a mess. We don't want to deal with it. We're going to do this until we decide otherwise. So I think it continues to be a thing for those. I know Paris is doing the standby pass thing, but the whole time we were there, they never even turned it on. They never turned it on while we were there. So I don't know how sold they even are on that. I almost think it's a PR stunt. I think it's almost just listed just so they have something to fall back on if they decide. I'm not saying they'll never turn it on. I think they will at a couple attractions, but I don't think it's going to be a constant thing forever.
So then, we're all Disney experts, or at least we think we are in this room. When it comes to these, like the people who come once a year, once every other year, first time trip, how are they going to understand how all of this stuff works?
they're not. I met a family from Texas in the queue of Slinky Dog, and I was like, oh, how are you like in studios? Oh, we love the Star Wars stuff. I'm like, oh, did you get to do Rise of the Resistance? And he was like, is that the one that you have to do the thing on your phone? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we don't really know what that is. And like, it was a dad and his two sons who were like Star Wars loving age, like 10-ish. And they didn't even know what they were doing. They had no idea what they were doing.
But did they care that they didn't know what they were doing? Or were they
How,
just happy
how
to
do they
go
even know
on?
if they're supposed to care?
But were they just
They don't
happy
know.
to walk? I envy these people, by the way. I would love to be these people that show up to a theme park and they're just, they don't know what's there. They have no idea what the attractions are. They have no idea what the food is. They just don't even know what the theme of the park is. They just show up and they're like, oh, that says 10 minutes. I don't know what that is. You want it? Yeah, let's go. Magic Carpets of Aladdin? Sure. I don't know. And they go and they're smiling and they're happy. And they rode 4 attractions, but they left there like, this was a magical day.
Yeah.
We saw Tinkerbell fly, and we went on a carpet, and then we saw that bird show. I don't know what was going on with the talking bird show, but it was cool. And then they go home, and they were happy.
But I think that's a minority of those people, because I think that with all of the advertising that Disney does, they're advertising Rise of the Resistance as this is a must-do. I mean, the lady in my hotel room told me it was a must-do.
Yeah, like the lady in your hotel room does, but what does the internet tell these people? Like, these people do not know what a Disney fan site is.
No.
These people don't know any of that stuff. If they go to DisneyWorld.com, Rise of the Resistance is not even on the front page. So I don't even know. Those people book Disney World with a few expectations, right? They expect to see a castle. They expect Cinderella's going to wave to them. They expect Mickey Mouse is going to wave to them. And they expect rides. They don't know what the rides are necessarily, but they expect the rides and shows will be there.
Yeah, I kind of disagree about that, though, because I think Disney made such a big deal about Star Wars Land in general that everybody knows
But you're a
that that's...
captive audience.
we
Like
live in a bubble.
you're listening because that's what you're interested in it, and so you're paying attention. The average American is not paying attention to that.
We live in a
Like,
bubble.
I mean, it's like, people might know Star Wars is in Disney World, just like they know Harry Potter is in Universal.
Exactly.
Although, I mean, do you know
There
how
are
many people
people-
every day come to Disney World and say, "Where's Harry Potter?"
Yeah.
They do. They don't
Right.
know the difference. They go to Universal and they say, "Where's Star Wars?" They don't understand that when they stay at Universal, Disney's not right next door and they don't get to go to all the parks. They don't understand. The average guest does not do enough research to discern those things.
And that's the problem, is those people are going to sabotage us. But there's nothing we can do. There's nothing because those people are. If you walk up to the ride and tell them, oh yeah, the virtual queue is full, but you can buy it, Joe Idaho's going to hit that button.
Because Joe Idaho's not coming back here for at least
Exactly.
5 years. And so if $50 means he gets to ride it or not, he already sunk so much into this trip that another $50 to ride the best ride in the park is nothing to him.
My recommendation to the Disney fandom is, if we have learned anything at WDWNT, there is one way to stop them. And it's not by not paying, it's not by stop going, it's none of those things. It's public shaming.
Yeah, causing an outcry.
They hate public shaming. And so if you keep bombarding, once this gets announced, if you really bombard them, like everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, word of mouth, wherever, if that goes around, then they start to, someone in the company feels bad. I don't know who. It's not the guy at the top, but there's people somewhere in the company. Maybe. He may not care either. Who knows?
Didn't you say, though, that Disneyland Paris is experiencing that now?
They are, but it's Disneyland Paris.
Okay.
So it's amazing. I don't know that I would have ever expected Disneyland Paris to launch something like that and the outcry to be so big. I'm kind of shocked.
I think the outcry is big not because of Disneyland Paris, but because people see what's on the horizon.
Writing's on the wall, right?
So back in 1905, when I first started coming to the parks, there was just no FastPass, and then there were the little paper FastPasses, and you had to run into the park and get to the machine so that you could, take everybody's tickets and put them in the machine and get your FastPasses, and that seemed fine because it was an ability to like Toy Story and Midway Mania, or that was the one that I was like always running to first.
You had to wait in a queue.
Yeah.
It's a queue to get a FastPass, which I hadn't been to Japan yet, so I didn't know anything. But that was the first. Soarin' felt like less of a queue and more of just like a mass crowd attacking machines. But Toy Story was like a formal queue.
So then they come up with the My Disney Experience, right, where you have to reserve 3 of them 90 days before you're ever going to be in the park. You've got to decide that on a Tuesday in August you want to ride whatever attraction. If it was one of the bigger ones, sometimes. I know you know how to play the system,
later.
but I'm just saying.
I'm not playing the system.
Well, not play it, but you know what you're doing.
Refreshing to get a fast pass you want is not playing the system.
Okay, well,
I've never refreshed
the
anything
system
so
works.
much as I refresh my Disney experience.
Yeah.
So-
I do it for dining reservations, but you do it everywhere.
Park passes?
It is a universal thing that works everywhere.
Yeah.
But
Park
not everybody
passes,
knows that.
Fast passes, dining. No, but people do, because in the greater world of digital distribution of anything, it's a thing. Whether you're online shopping for like some in-demand item, or concert tickets, it's a thing that works for all of those things. So people know it. It's just the question is, do people do it,
So-
or just check again? Just not even constant refreshing. Just keep checking as you get closer to your trip. Like Mine Train and Slinky Dog and those things would pop up. You just had to look.
Last week or the week before, all of a sudden there were like, MDX was flooded with Oga's reservations out of the blue. Like, there were just Oga's reservations as far as the eye could see.
Yeah.
Now they're gone again, but like, it
gotta
happens.
be-
They drop
you
more,
gotta be
they add
persistent.
capacity, especially right now as capacity keeps shifting for restaurants and things.
I still think that having to be that persistent to me was better than running and fighting people at 9 a.m. at a FastPass machine. I always thought that was kind of a pain.
Yeah, and again, you couldn't get to the park after like 10 a.m. and still get a fast pass
No.
for anything good. They were all gone at that
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
Toy Story would go by like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
on a day where they open at 9. So and Radiator Springs Racers, same thing out in California. But then they come up with Max Pass. So they did the 3 reservations, and they come up with Max Pass out in California, which again, I was afraid of the whole having to pay, but it was a convenience of not having to run to the machine. But you could still run to the machine if you didn't want to pay that money. That was
But
still a
Max
thing.
Pass, they still ran out the same way, right?
Yeah.
So I know everyone loves Max Pass. I'm not that guy. I liked our system better, because our system was about having a reservation rather than a digital version of the old FastPass system, right? So people entered the park earlier, still had that advantage. It was the same. You still had to fight to get in the park first, and then open your phone, and then, in the early days of Max Pass, I remember people just, the second they got to the turnstile, they'd stop after the turnstile and block everyone because they're just trying to book their first FastPass. Same thing Tokyo, because the Tokyo system is the same. They all would just stop right after they got through the turnstile and just clog everything. And I'm like, this is no better.
All right, so then let's wrap this one up. I just want to get final thoughts from everybody on this one because, just to kind of wrap this panel up. Obviously, we're going to know a lot more in the coming weeks as to what the system's going to look like. We'll talk about it here on ParksCenter. I just, I'm afraid what that's going to look like, but I would agree with you. We need to all argue with Uncle Bob on this one. Desi, let me start with you. What are your final thoughts on this one?
I think that my Disney experience is a mess as it is. And I think that adding this other layer of people trying to buy the fast passes is going to make it even worse.
Oh, that's a good point. The technological standpoint is a nightmare. Jill?
I wish they would just not bring any of it back. I want fast passless park.
No, and I saw a lot of people in the chat that agree with you on that one, and I think it's one of those things where, it would be, right
Let's
now.
Let's all be the same for a change. Can we just all be the same? Wouldn't that be nice?
And it worked before, but I'm not sure that can happen. So, Tom, bring us home on that one.
I'm sorry. I don't believe in a fast passless world. I don't believe in it. I think it's an inconvenience. I would rather fight and plan, and I think it works as a deterrent. I think if you have another option, people see that queue with that giant wait time, and they're like, oh, but yeah, we try to get a fast pass another day of the trip. We don't have to fight for this today. As opposed to like, well, that's the only option is that 360-minute wait's all we've got. And I don't want that to be the only option. I think that locks out more people than having a fast pass system. Because I think people will selectively wait. I think also FastPass Plus, I know people have knocked this thing a million times. I think it did a great job distributing people to places they didn't go. I think they put it on a couple of weird attractions, but it really helped distribute people out to those other attractions. I think I've seen more people at, like, I've said this again, but Magic Carpets of Aladdin. I don't think there was often many people there, but I think because it would be like you'd be down to that third option, you got to book something else. Journey into Imagination with Figment, same thing. I think it was a brilliant way, Living with the Land, a brilliant way to get people over to these rides they would have never done otherwise. So it worked as a way to try to distribute some crowds away from the e-tickets, but also as a way to try to get people to these lesser side attractions that they might just walk by and be like, no one mentioned that in the planning stuff. I'm not going to that thing. So I know my problem with all of my Magic Plus has been the app. The app and the technical glitches have always been the issue. I don't think FastPass Plus as a concept failed. I think it worked, and I think it worked well. And you picked three things. You knew what the three things you were definitely going to do were, and you planned your day around it. And you were like, well, then, since we got a Space Mountain FastPass, we know we have to rope drop Mine Train. We know we can book our dining reservation at this time. The FastPass won't be at the same time. I won't have to argue with the person at the entrance that I was at Tony's eating. I can't come during the time.
You don't want to ride
allotted.
Space Mountain right after eating at Tony's.
Whatever. I just think it in a world where you had dining reservations and tours and all these other things to plan, I think having the integrated system where it would tell you like, hey, this FastPass is during your dining reservation. I don't know.
All right, so you know what? Let us know in the chat what you guys think. Comment below. Do you want it to stay the way that it is right now, where there are no fast passes? Probably not going to happen. Do you want to see a return to the pick 3 a day? Again, probably not going to happen. Or maybe something like a max pass. But it really does feel like everything's going to a pay per ride, which again feels like a carnival, and it feels very unfair. So
in a world where they are introducing a evening extra magic hours that is only for guests at deluxe resorts or deluxe villas. This is the world we're about to live in. The Bob Chapek Company. The fine people at the Bob Chapek Company creating a whole new Disney theme park experience for you.
As long as you can pay for it.
True. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Thanks for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed the content at least tonight. Don't forget to like, please, this show, and also subscribe to this channel, and also our Unplanned Downtime channel with all the great content that's over there. Please make sure to subscribe to that as well. If you are a Wigs member, we love our Wigs. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and there is a post show tonight for you guys. Also, don't forget to check out carouselproducts.com for some merch about the WDW celebration. We have these cool pins that you can find on there, and we'll have many other things coming to you very soon on there. And again, thank you so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and we will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.